Frankie, we rocked up at the Emirates. We dented their title hopes when we walked away with 3 points, and I can only assume you were a happy hammer.
Very. Slightly unhappy that I was offered 2 tickets on the build up to it and turned them down. So absolute wally for doing that. But, it's just so good to beat that lot, isn't it? Just the meltdown that follows is fantastic. And it was brilliant because just the whole build up to that game, whether it be FPL, whether it be Arsenal fan channel, social media, every single person wrote us off. Don't give us a hope in hell of going there and getting anything. So when you come away after everyone's sort of totally disregarded you, it makes it all the more sweeter.
What did you make of the game? Impressed?
Yeah, no, it was, that what we needed to see, that bit more commitment, that bit more energy, that bit more effort. We bounced straight back with that right attitude again, which was brilliant. I thought we could see that performance from Kudus on the way. Like I say, a lot of people were knocking his decision making and certain things. And look, there were things that he wasn't doing 100%, but I just felt he was really putting in a shift every single time he played. And I thought he was absolutely excellent. So, but all of them were excellent because they all put in a big shift and they all really tried hard. And I thought we were good value. I've seen some of their fan cams and saying that we weren't good. In fact, we were rubbish, but they were just worse. And that's just a typical Arsenal opinion, isn't it? Again, they can't give us the fact that we've rocked up there. Potter's got a game plan, stuck to it, and just totally undone them. And all right, yeah, they're a bit short at the moment, and they're not quite firing on all cylinders. But like I say, if they'd have been a bit more humble in the build-up and actually admitted to that and said, well, that we are struggling with a bit of firepower up front and this, that and the other. So, we have to be careful because West Ham's a team on the up. Then it wouldn't have been quite as, satisfying. But the fact that they all give it the big one and couldn't accept that, I don't know, even people I spoke to, I fancied we'd get something. I didn't think we'd win, I'm going to be honest, but I thought we'd get a draw. I think a lot of people fancied getting something. So why did everyone write us off? I don't know. Even the bookies, mate, 12-1 we was before the game in a 2-horse race. I think we're much better value than that.
Do you find it more satisfying? I agree with what you said there. We rocked up. Potter's plan was bang on. We carried it out. It's worked. We completely stifled Arsenal. We got the goal, got the 3 points. But do you find it more satisfying when we win and it's off the back of efficient tactics rather than maybe something that feels a little bit more unsustainable going forward long term? Because I think that's one thing I really enjoyed on Saturday. It felt manufactured from our part. And on Saturday night we won, but it felt like we were good value because, like you said, it was the plan, what Potter had put in place, the team he picked. 11 players out there, none of them had a bad game. The subs came on. They were okay. They just didn't have to play that well. We were already leading. It was just a case of do nothing wrong to some extent, and Mavropanos nearly did by conceding that free kick. But that's what I found really pleasing. I'm buzzing about the result, Frankie, but when it comes to today, tomorrow, the result wears off a little bit, and I start looking forward to the Leicester game. But my excitement, because of how I feel well we played and how well Potter had us playing and how well we lined up, that excitement turns into confidence going into the next game because, like I said, I think it feels sustainable. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. And it does mean that, like you say, it's not something where there was a couple of wins that we've had before in the past and you think, well,
under Lopetegui, we won, didn't we? And we went into the next game no more confident. I remember beating Southampton and I went into the next game more confident we'd lose after winning a game of football.
Yeah. So, no, I totally agree. And now it isn't feeling like that. It does feel like we've got things to work with and work on. But I also agree massively with what you've said in the post-match videos that you did and the one that you done the following morning. We have got to be a little bit different against Leicester. You can't play that way against Leicester. Well, you can, and you can probably still win. But then that's where that sort of opinion would come from again. Everyone would be saying, well, is this what we want to see all the time moving forward? And do you just want to go and nick a 1-0 against Leicester at home? We need to be more confident on the front foot. But it does seem that something about us at the moment requires that kind of style of football, that way of playing. We struggle when we try and get more on the front foot. He goes to 4 at the back in the last home game, and we don't look good doing it. We look far more comfortable with that sort of 3 at the back. And look, if that's the way that we need to be with our personnel for the time being, I probably can suffer it until the end of the season, to be honest. But moving forward, when he starts bringing in some new players, we need to switch it up. But, I do want to see us be a bit more ambitious against Leicester. But again, we just need to get some home wins, keep the momentum going now. And we even said, look, our season's kind of petered out into nothing, and it's all going to be about individual matches. And the first one we've got, that Arsenal one, we've gone there and got a result. That's, if we can have a few of them between now and the end of the season, it will get the fans up for it, and it will be a nice platform to build on for next season.
It gives me hope going into away games against the Sky Sports 6. I've always been optimistic when we played them at the London Stadium. I think it feels like Moyes had a good record against the Sky Sports top 6 at the London Stadium. So when we played them at home, I wasn't too pessimistic overall as a lot. I mean, individually, you could go back and watch previews and be like, you're predicting us to get beat 4-0 there. I'd imagine we would have been in poor form at that time. But there's certainly previews you could go back and we were ready to face Tottenham at home, especially, or Chelsea, definitely Man United. And I'd be thinking, we're going to win this. So at home, we've always had a bit of something about us, I think. But away from home, I've always felt quite confident we would go there, be a bit white flaggish and walk away with nothing, essentially. And our performances at Villa Park, Stamford Bridge, and now the Emirates means that if we were to go to, we go to Old Trafford in May, we go away to Man United. But if we were to play Man U, Spurs, whoever away from home under Potter, I think I'm going to feel optimistic, actually. I used to feel it under Bilic when we used to go away to the Sky Sports 6 under Slav. I think, here we go. We're going to go there and we're going to have a bloody pop at them and we might get a win. And we quite often did get a win. Completely different style of play. We'd go there to try and outscore them and try and win 3-2. It's like, right, let's just go toe-to-toe. Potter will be more pragmatic, but I think we'll go to these places with a game plan to suit the opposition. And I think we've shown, I appreciate we got beat by Chelsea and we got beat by Aston Villa, but I think we're putting a damn good showing in both of those games. And I think we were still mugged off against Chelsea with that goal that I don't think should have stood for the foul on Jared Bowen. So I think from those 3 performances, we've got one of the wins. And I think, do you know what? If next time we go to a Sky Sports top 6, I'm going to have a little bit of hope, which isn't something I've had for a little while when we go play these teams away from home. Any players in particular you want to shout out or call out?
No calling outs, obviously. Skulls, I think, just play the kid. He's just good enough. He's there. I want to see him now in a good run, and from now until the end of the season, I want to see him get as many minutes as possible. And like I say, I just wanted to defend Kudus a little bit because I felt like it'd come from a bit of unfair criticism. Is it unfair? I can see why people will have turned around and said, look, he needs to make better decisions, and the one thing he's got to start adding is a bit more goal scoring threat. He doesn't, if you was going to have a bet this week, like this Thursday, would you put Kudus as a goal scorer? Probably not. So it's the type of player he is. Previously, we've had times where you'd back him all day long to score, and actually he's got to the sort of position at the moment where you don't fancy him to get a goal. So I want to see him get a bit more of a goal threat again. But no, I just think everyone. I'll give a nod to Cresswell. I've always defended Cresswell. I've been a fan of Cresswell, but I did feel like enough was enough. I thought like this season he would probably be one step too far for him, and he's done a brilliant job there. So, I will, eat my bit of humble pie with Cresswell, to be honest. And I just think everyone done brilliant. Todibo, we see flashes from Todibo, don't we? And I just really hope that we can get him happy and get him playing football, and because he could be really important to us moving forward. I think it would be a real shame if it gets to the end of this season and without seeing quite the best of him, he went elsewhere. I think that one we could rue a little bit and look back on and think, we didn't make the most of him there, because I think he's going to go on and have a really good career and be a really top player. So, yeah, it's but no, all round, I just think everyone done fantastic, massive effort, really good attitude, really positive, and Bowen's getting the song going around Bowen again, ole ole. It's so good that he's back and just on fire and just found his goal score. When you come back from a bit of time out, you always worry how long it will take them to sort of find their goal scoring boots again. But he's done it straight away from the off, so that's a really good positive plus for us.
I'm going to give you some flowers, Frankie. Last week's podcast, you said about the midfield. You said I don't like them in a 2. They might need to be a 3. The Soucek, Ward-Prowse, Alvarez combination. You got what you wanted. I'll be honest. I was a little bit nervous when the lineup came out because I thought it looks like a 3-5-2, and I thought, well, I'm not sure how this midfield's going to cope. And I thought the 3 of them had really good games individually, but sort of as a trio, it worked really well. Now, I don't want to see it against Leicester. We'd break it up against Leicester, but I thought it worked at the Emirates. And I think the one thing that impressed me with what Potter did against Arsenal was, as always, when the game kicks off, we're all looking, aren't we? Right? How are we lining up then? Okay, so how's this midfield looking? Is Soucek a number 10 or are we playing 2 strikers? And when I saw Ward-Prowse as the middle of the 3 and Alvarez to the left, I thought, surely Alvarez would be better suited to the central role with Ward-Prowse and Soucek either side of him. But because that's what we've been used to at West Ham when it has been those 3, that's how it's worked. But I thought Ward-Prowse would go on to have a really good game in the middle, and I thought he was taking the ball off the centre-backs well and distributing it well. But I actually thought Potter put Alvarez there to stop Martin Odegaard. I thought he was directly one-on-one up against Odegaard. That's Odegaard's territory. Alvarez was in there, and I thought he was an Odegaard shadow for a large part of the game, and it just completely stopped him getting involved whatsoever. And so kind of giving you some flowers there, Frankie, but also Graham Potter as well. I think he got it spot on. His lineup just worked perfectly. And I always like it when an opposition manager changes things and it doesn't work. Because I think what a huge compliment that is to you, because you've come up with a game plan, you put it in action, maybe 45 minutes, 55, 60 minutes, whatever it is into the game, the opposition managers decide, right, it's not working, I need to change it. They make changes and their changes don't work either. I think that, well done. That is like you've come up with a master plan here, because the guy in the dugout is now knocked out. You basically put him on the canvas. He doesn't know what to do. He's got no answers. His response is now just chucking on personnel and hoping something happens. And it didn't. So a huge well done to Graham Potter. You mentioned Aaron Cresswell. One thing that's been a bit of a debate over the last couple of days, I've seen West Ham fans discussing, is would you give him a new deal? Also, it expires in the summer. Are you a definite no? For those listening, Frankie's shaking his head no at me. Are you a definite no, or are you I'll decide at the end of the season?
No, I'm a definite no. I was a yes last season.
Yeah.
I actually said he deserved one more, but more to just be around the club, because I felt like those people who'd been at West Ham for a long time, we'd lost a lot of people. Like when Ogbonna went, I think we lost a lot of people who understood West Ham. And you didn't really have as many of those long-term players who could really help people just understand what West Ham's all about, the culture, what the fans expect. So I really wanted to keep him around for that reason. So, but I didn't want to see him in the starting lineup too much this season. I didn't want to see him playing too many minutes. I really wanted him just to be in and around the squad and but it's obviously the real plus point is that you're paying him a good salary to still be at West Ham, and the fact that he's now adding value for that is fantastic. So he's added more value than I thought he would this season, so that's really good news. But again, we may have been a little bit guilty in the past sometimes of holding on to players a little bit too long, and it's just time to move on. I'd much rather see somebody, a little bit more ambition, a little bit more forward vision, just either bring in a player to replace him who may not necessarily be a starter if we've got other players in and around, or whatever system Potter's playing and how he wants to move forward next season. I'd rather see someone come in instead, or see a youth player coming through to try and, kickstart their career. And we've seen it now. So, we've not given a youth player a proper crack for a while now. And Scholes has proven that it's very, very doable. and that if you give them their chance, they might take it. So I want to see that a little bit more rather than being dependent on what will he be then, 35-year-old Aaron Cresswell?
Well, he's 35 now.
Yeah, so
so he'll be 36 before his contract's up. Should you give him an extension? I'm gonna discuss it. We've got a gap between Leicester and Newcastle, and we play Thursday and then not till the following Monday, so there's more than a week. So I'm going to do a video about it. I'm not going to lie, we need to come up with some content ideas to plug the gap. Cresswell contract is plugging the gap, so I'll do a video with Gonzo about it more specifically. But talking about potential replacements, we were linked to Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Frankie, and formerly of Manchester City, through their academy, now at Southampton playing in the Premier League, was on loan last season before at Burnley, captain of the England youth team as well. So his footballing CV looks really good, just turned 23 years of age. Now the transfer rumour, which I'm quite dismissive of, was 15 million. That was the rumoured fee, but given that they paid 20 million for him, and I appreciate they're getting relegated, it feels a bit on the lighter side if it was to happen. But I've got an interesting fact for you, which I haven't seen put out there too much.
Go for it.
Last week, it was announced that Harwood-Bellis has signed with a new football agency, and that football agency is owned by none other than Will Salthouse. Now, this might just be two together, right? But I seen that he signed with Will Salthouse's firm. And in my own head, I said, bet we're linked with him in the next week. We've been linked with him. I haven't started the transfer rumor. Google it. It's already out there. But hypothetically, is he someone you'd be keeping an eye on?
He certainly hasn't really entered my radar for any reason so far. So I wouldn't sit here getting excited about it. If you're asking me, could I see it happening with that link? Absolutely, because we always have one of his mob coming in every transfer window. So if that's the little mates deal, the little whatever, the old boys club deal that has to happen, then I can absolutely see it being someone that we end up with.
It's like the West Ham Freemasons club, isn't it?
That's what it's like.
But the thing is, it worked last summer because Wan-Bissaka is Will Salthouse's client. So I think if you were to look back at last summer and say everybody we signed, which is the best signing, a lot of people would say, well, it's Wan-Bissaka. Well, who's his agent? It's Will Salthouse. Maybe you just never know that it's a little bit one of those, oh, Will, go try get Harwood-Bellis signed up, will you? Because we're going to go in for him. And if you're his agent, everything's a lot easier and everyone's a lot richer, allegedly, off the back of it. It's I've got two opinions here, and I'm going to summarize off the back of the two of them. Opinion number one is, well, I've actually got three, I guess. Pre-Southampton, would have loved him at West Ham. I thought he absolutely smashed it at Burnley, albeit in Championship, but he was 21 years old then, so just captained England at a tournament, the under-21s, captained them. He was fantastic in that tournament. Went to Burnley, one of the best centre-backs, possibly the best centre-back in the Championship. I was under Vincent Kompany, so real sort of that style of football, that ball playing football at the back, and he really excelled there. Then he came up and they didn't sign him. That was always felt a little bit weird that he didn't go to Burnley off the back of that promotion. Rocked up at Southampton. They've come up and they've signed him. I don't think he's been very good. I don't think he's been good this season. When I've watched them, and I've watched them quite a bit, we're now at the point of the season. I can say I've watched every Premier League team quite a lot. Right, I watch too much. 6 games a weekend I watch Premier League football, plus either an Italian or a couple of German ones thrown in as well. So I watch too much, right? But I think he struggled. One, his pace or lack of it. I think he looks quite chunky. I appreciate it's a little bit rude of me, a fat Aaron Cresswell, calling another person a little chunky. But if you look at him, he just looks quite chunky for a Premier League player. I don't think he's the quickest. I think he's struggled with the pace of the Premier League a little bit. 2, I don't think he's looked great in a back 3, which is what Southampton have been playing all season. If we're going to continue with that, if that's going to be our main way of playing, then he's going to need a lot of coaching. However, the plus side is he's only just turned 23 years of age, so he's still really young for a Premier League player, especially centre back. I think centre backs tend to be a bit older by the time they get into the first team action at Premier League clubs. It's a position where if you make a mistake, it can be quite costly. I think goalkeeper is arguably the hardest position for a youngster to break through in, and then the centre back is followed. I'm sure someone's done a study on this at some point. The answer's out there, but I guess an expectancy would be goalkeeper followed by centre back. So he's had a tough gig at Southampton, but we also have to take into consideration Southampton are just crap. They're one of the worst teams we've ever seen in the Premier League. They are rubbish, whether it was under Russell Martin or this geezer's name that I forgot, starts with J. What's his name? Can't remember now. Former Roma manager, him, Juric. Is that his name? Juric. He's Croatian.
No idea, mate. No idea.
Anyway, he's looked just as bad under him as well. But I think we're going to need at least one centre-back in the summer, possibly two. We're going to need to keep our eye on the homegrown quota as well. And I would like to see us sign one or two players who are long-term homegrown players. I like it. Having players like previously Aaron Cresswell, Michael Antonio, Mark Noble, Declan Rice, Ben Johnson, and now we've got Wan-Bissaka, Max Kilman. I like having players that are homegrown and will be at the club for years. You don't have to worry. That guy's just your homegrown guy for the next few years. That is good. Because there's always going to be high turnover in playing squads. You're always going to sell and buy. And if you can keep your homegrown players away from that so that you've got that longevity there, it is good. And I think a 23-year-old centre-back would surely be someone you would expect to be in the squad for a long term. But he certainly is able to play Potter's way. It's just whether we can coach him to fit a back three and hopefully get him up to speed a little bit. Can you make him quicker? Maybe not, but I don't know. He's certainly for me. I quite like the link to Adam Webster as well. Maybe that's for a separate video, but I do like the link to Webster, and I think that would be quite a clever signing if it's a low fee. So Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Frankie, it's a yes for me. Especially if he was to replace Mavropanos. I think we'd get some money from Mavropanos, and I think Harwood-Bellis would be a good replacement. Big plus. Anyway, from one match to the next match, Leicester City Thursday night. How you feeling?
Yeah, good. Really good. Am I feeling good? I feel good on the sort of world coming off the back of Arsenal confidence. That's brilliant. There's been a lot of discussions around home matches at the moment, and look, I'm still not putting it down to stadium. I'm putting it down to match day experience more than I am the framework or how we sit and everything else. And yeah, it just normally on a Thursday night game, I'd be really can't wait to get over there. I'd normally be really sort of, finish work early train, especially if we've got the weather's turning a bit at the moment and we get a nice evening. I'd be right up for it. And I'm just not quite there. So look, Arsenal's gone a long way to giving me a little bit more of a little bit of excitement to see how we're going to approach the Leicester game now. That's what is coming to me for me. I want to see how he's going to mix it up, how he approaches it at home. But yeah, I'm looking at it thinking, if it's sunny, I'm there. I'm going to enjoy it. That's great. If it's chucking it down with rain and I've got to come out of there at God knows what time and stand in stop and go signs, I'm not as keen. So look, it is what it is. We've banged on about it for a while now. We know that something needs to be done. I hope that somebody out there somewhere manages to just speak to the right ears, really, and just change things a little bit that would make us all really just think, do you know what? We're coming off the back of Arsenal. We've got a massive win. Let's go and roll on to Leicester. Let's get over there nice and early, get behind them or make our way from work or whatever. And we should all be properly looking forward to it. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that we can make some changes somewhere along the line because I think it's needed. And I know you've said about football, the football being better helps. And I'm not so sure. I think, obviously football, and if you're watching good football and you're winning football matches, then obviously that goes a long way to making you feel better when you walk out the place. But look, we won a lot of matches under Moyes in certain competitions and so on, and sometimes it was still so flat over there and still wasn't, you know, that enjoyable and that exciting. So look, I'm hoping that, you know, we can just find a spark from somewhere. Maybe Arsenal's the catalyst to that. Maybe everyone goes over there with a renewed energy, and people are a bit more inclined to try and get behind them and sing a song and create a little bit of energy over there. So yeah, we'll see. But all in all, I just want to. I'm intrigued, Gio. I'm intrigued to how he's gonna play it. How's he gonna line up? I can't see him going back to that back four after what we saw last time. I can't see that happening. So how else does he try and get us on the front foot? What does he change to try and make us a little bit more of the home team, the team that wants to, you know, take the game to them and get in their face a little bit and try and be a little bit more, just a little bit more on the front foot from the off, really. So
do you have any suggestions or desires that you wish to see in order to do that?
No, not really. I'm going to be honest. I have my brain full with other things that I have to think about in terms of tactics, formations, and position at the moment. So I'm literally on the internet now buying some new training equipment off the back of the weekend. So I'm always trying to think of that. So West Ham and thinking what we're going to do and how we're going to mix it up isn't the priority in my mind at the moment. But you know, as and this is the thing, isn't it? You know, as a fan and as everything else, look, I'm involved in football now, and I have to, you know, I'm living football every single day. When you go and support your team, I don't want to have to be the manager. Actually, being the manager is really frustrating and actually takes away the enjoyment from football. All I want to do is go over there. I want the manager to be the one who has to think about what the plans are, and he gets paid a lot of money to do it. So I know I come here at times and, you know, people have said before in the comments and stuff, oh, well, you know, you don't even know what your starting 11 is, this and that. I don't want to know what my starting 11 is. I just want to go over, I want to have a drink, meet me pals.
I'm
you know what I mean?
I think there's two scenarios. One we can't do. I think scenario A would be if you were to look at the squad and say, right, you've just beaten Arsenal, that's the starting 11. If you want to be a bit more attacking, what do you change? And ideally, you want to keep the changes to a minimal, don't you? You don't want to make 3 changes. You want to make 1 or 2 maximum, and that's it. So you want to tweak it rather than rip it up and go again. And the one we can't do would be to take Somerville in for possibly a defender and move Wan-Bissaka into the back 3 and put Somerville at right wing back, because Wan-Bissaka was excellent, don't get me wrong, but Somerville was also excellent at right wing back against Aston Villa. So that would give you a little bit more of an attacking threat, I think. But we can't do that. He's unavailable. So I think scenario B, and this is what I want to see, which would be to remove one of the midfielders and Souček, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez and replace them with Evan Ferguson and move him ahead of Bowen and Kudus and have those two playing behind the striker. And that one change, I think, drastically changes how you can approach a game from having plug in a 3-5-2, plug in a midfield, to having a focal point up front with Bowen and Kudus playing off that striker. I think you go from quite a defensive, pragmatic look to quite a tasty looking attack, actually. And when you consider you've got Scarles and Wan-Bissaka on the wings as well, getting forward, not too shabby. So there you go. There's your scenario, Frankie. That's how I think Potter could, with one change, could go from pragmatic to threatening, just like that. Which midfielder are that? To leave you on a cliffhanger, gonna have to tune into the preview tomorrow with Gonzo. I know which one I want to take out and put Ferguson in, but I'd be intrigued to see if Gonzo do the same. Now, before we disappear, if you got another question for Frankie, however, if you're only here for the West Ham chat, now's the time that you depart. But before you do, make sure you drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up and subscribe to the Ham's chat. And for the nosy people, or those that just enjoy the podcast, or the Frankie fans, or I know the women that think we're eye candy, whoever is still left. Frankie, you had 2 games at the weekend. You went into the weekend with a 0% win rate. How did you get on?
Yeah, 2 games, a massive opportunity to turn it around, and we won both games. We were absolutely excellent. So we won our first half 2-0, which was really good, and then we made some changes in the second half, and it was 1-1. So the first game we won 3-1. So that was a really good result. And then it just gave us massive confidence. So the second game we ended up running out 7-2 winners. So it's
in the first game. Did you park the bus at halftime or something?
So we
sounds like Moyes ball in effect to me.
Do you know what? So I'll be completely honest. We've got a couple of very, very talented boys, and we've got some boys who are really trying to sort of push themselves and get to the level, and are training 5-6 times a week. So they play a lot of football. That second half, we took off some of the more attacking players, and we've got one lad who is my just stop everything that gets through. So I basically gave him the instruction to basically just sweep up everything. I left him in the middle on his own, let the other boys, we got some really pacey wingers, so they were bombing up the pitch, but I just said, look, you just sweep everything up that comes through, and he did a job brilliantly. He was fantastic. And it was a little bit of that, if I'm honest. I thought we looked good value. We're 2-0 up. Let's just try and just see the second half out. And it was a bit Moyes ball. Actually, all of what I did was a little bit Moyes ball, to be perfectly honest. But that's what I've been watching, and that's what I've been learning from for the last few years, Geo. So, no, it was really good, and it just gave them so much confidence, because that was their first win. And then going into the second game, then they had their towels up. And I mean, it was 7-2. We was changing players because it was roll-on subs our second game. So we was changing players every couple of minutes. One boy scored a hat-trick in 2 minutes. And I pulled him off, give him his little round of applause so everyone could cheer him. Look, was that the right thing to do? I don't know. Maybe he thought he should have stayed on, and when you score 3 goals in 2 minutes, he should have stayed out there. But I wanted him to get his round of applause and sort of standing ovation. And we could have kicked on and gone a lot. We could have scored a lot more than 7. But no, mate, I'm really happy, really pleased, over the moon for them. They've worked really hard. Obviously, we had games called off like 4 or 5 weeks running, whatever it was. They haven't played enough football, but we've just worked blooming hard in training. And the other managers just at the end of the game turned around to us and said, you're just so drilled. And that's come from the fact that we've had literally sort of 5 nights a week for the past 4 weeks of just working on shape and positioning in training. So it boded us well, Geo, which was
love
was
that.
Really
You got a game this weekend?
We do. We've got another double, because we've had so many games called off. It looks like it's going to be 2 matches every weekend at the moment. But this is in the FA Silver Vase again, that one that was called off. So double header cup matches, round 1 of the cup and round 2 of the cup played in the same day.
Love that. Well, there you go. Frankie went from a 0% win rate to 66% win rate, and he's got 2 games this weekend. So that'll give him 5 games in total.
I think I'm above Avram Grant now, and I'm all right. I'm back.
Yeah, you've gone from a bit like Moyes, actually. You've gone from on the verge of having a really bad rate to a pretty good one pretty quick. That's so you're looking shabby. Good thing for me is next podcast you'll have played 5 games. That's easy for me to work out the win rate in my head as we go through the show, but it'll get a bit tricky when you've played 23 games or something. I'm going to have to start working out small percentage details in my head quickly. But anyway, Frankie, best of luck for the weekend. Good to see you're up and running now. And you guys for that stuck around, whoever you may be and whatever your reason is, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll catch you in a bit.